All right, welcome to the deep dive. Get ready because today we're jumping into a world where logic seems to be made of puns. You might get offered lunch by a sand dune, or, well, seeing bare skin could literally make your eyes corrode. I'm serious.
It's quite something. Our subject today is a really fascinating fantasy novel from the sources you sent over Piers Anthony's 2 to the 5th.
And yeah, it's definitely a journey. This book takes us right into the heart of Xanth, this place that's just vibrant, full of puns, and often completely bizarre.
So our goal here in this deep dive is to kind of guide you through this specific story. We want to trace the main character's really unusual quest. He's looking for understanding, basically. We'll try to unravel the mystery of that title, 2 to the 5th, look at the incredibly strange challenges he faces, and then figure out how all these, seemingly random events actually connect to a much larger conflict and a resolution you probably wouldn't expect.
Yeah, and leading the charge is Cyrus Cyborg. He's not quite human, not quite robot. He's really wrestling with some fundamental questions, trying to figure himself out,
Hmm.
especially emotions, and probably most confusingly for him, human relationships,
Wow.
particularly with women. And he's got a companion who's, let's just say, not exactly thrilled about any of it.
That would be Don Donkey. A robot ass.
Yeah.
He's very specific about that.
Oh, right.
And quite the cynic, he's always reminding Cyrus, I'm not a horse, which means Cyrus has to carefully say donkey because of these weird rules.
Ah, the adult conspiracy. That crops up pretty fast, doesn't it? Feels like a major background role in Xanth.
Definitely. So you've got Xanth, magic is real, everyone gets a unique talent, and puns aren't just jokes. They seem to actually shape reality.
So how does Cyrus being so literal even start to deal with that?
Well, that's his big problem at first. His whole trip to find the good magician kicks off with these encounters that just hammer home how naive he is,
Mhm.
how unprepared for Xanth's logic. Like early on, he meets Piper Nymph. Her talent is healing. Apparently, she healed her pet whirlwind, Dusty.
A pet whirlwind. Okay.
Don Donkey, of course, questions the point of that. But Dusty, who can sometimes look like a little horned creature, actually ends up being useful.
Right. And then there's that encounter with testosterone. That one really jumps out.
Mhm.
She's just so direct. Her problem is she's too pushy, and she hits Cyrus with this observation that men only want one thing, and he's just lost.
Completely baffled. And he honestly admits it. He says he has no idea what she means, and that's kind of why he's going to the good magician to understand his own desires.
It's such an awkward but kind of vulnerable moment for a cyborg.
It really sets up his whole motivation. He needs this fundamental understanding of himself, of human nature that his programming just didn't give him. And Xanth keeps throwing curveballs, like the strip tide.
Oh, yeah, the tide that literally strips people naked.
Exactly. He finds this inlet full of swimming naked girls, and he's basically told, stay away unless you want to join in.
Mm.
And he's also warned that the kids, they call them sea urchins, would have to leave for a bit because of the adult conspiracy. Certain things have to be kept from children.
Right, that conspiracy again. It stops people from even saying ass for Don Donkey. It sounds like it puts all these weird limits on interactions, especially around age and anything remotely adult. Must be incredibly confusing for Cyrus.
Totally. And on top of the confusion, there's the physical problem. For him, seeing bare skin makes his eyes corrode.
Yeah, that's wild.
He literally has to shield his eyes.
Yeah.
It becomes this recurring issue for him, this difficulty processing, even physically reacting to female nudity. He talks later about tearing his eyes away with slight sucking sounds. It's graphic.
Disturbingly so. Okay, and he also meets a sandwich who offers him a knuckle sandwich.
Yep, but not a punch. A literal sandwich shaped like a fist.
Of course.
In exchange for making her laugh, she's a shapeshifter. And she has this very distracting leg that again makes Cyrus squint and look away.
So this knuckle sandwich, it's not just a weird snack.
No, it's actually important. He needs it to deal with Tough, this rock salesman who's asleep when they first find him. Cyrus's very literal, straightforward approach seems totally wrong for Xanth most of the time. But occasionally, like bringing an actual knuckle sandwich, it just works.
Yeah. Okay.
He uses boulders from Tough, with help from Arrow, who he met back at the strip tide, to cross a moat. Arrow might have a talent related to acronyms, but the key thing for Cyrus is she's dressed now.
So through all this weirdness, the confusing rules, the physical eye-corroding reactions, Cyrus is still trying to understand the women he meets. He seems drawn to them.
Yeah, he's definitely intrigued, maybe even affected, but completely clueless about how to react or what it all means. His trip to the good magician feels essential for him to get any answers.
But he doesn't get straight answers, does he?
Not really. Instead of the good magician himself, his proxies, Wyra and Sophia Soxorter, give him an instruction and a mission. The instruction is just 2 to the 5th.
2 to the 5th. Okay. That sounds like a password. Or maybe math.
Total confusion at first. Does it mean 2 main characters? Is there a 5th person involved? Is it math like 2 to the power of 5 equals 32?
Wait, 32?
Yeah, and the source material actually notes that this is the 32nd book in the Xanth series, which is a neat little meta-nod for us, the readers.
Huh, okay.
But for Cyrus, it's just another confusing puzzle dropped into this already baffling world.
So his quest changes. It's not just about finding personal answers anymore. Now he has to figure out this riddle, write a play, gather a troupe, and somehow fulfill this purpose tied to 2 to the 5th. Quite a change of direction.
It really is, and this is where some really key characters come in, starting with the princesses.
Right, the 3 princesses. Rhythm, melody, and harmony.
Exactly. They're sorceresses, and their power gets way stronger when they're together. Like, 2 of them, their power is squared. All 3, it's cubed.
And the story focuses a lot on Rhythm, whose situation is really complicated.
Very. She uses something called a decade spell. It lets her temporarily age her body and mind by 10 years.
Okay, so she's biologically a child, but she can experience being an adult.
Right. And this puts her in direct conflict with that whole adult conspiracy thing. She's living this paradox, a child chronologically, but having adult feelings, adult interactions during these aged times. She basically breaks the rules just by using her talent.
Wow. Sounds like a cuff spot.
And then there's her daughter, Cadence.
Rhythm has a daughter. How does that work with the spell and the conspiracy?
Well, Cadence's very existence seems to just batter the adult conspiracy, as the source puts it. Her talent is also unique. She makes things have a cadence. She brings order, prompts people, even guides audience reactions.
Like a stage manager for reality.
Kind of. And the source notes this real bond between Cyrus and Cadence. It's different from his confusion around other females. It's simpler, maybe.
But their whole situation sounds really dangerous, doesn't it? Especially with this conspiracy thing being so strict. Is there a threat?
Oh, definitely. The danger is hinted at. They come across something called a deathbed on their path. And there's this undercurrent of fear that maybe someone wants to eliminate Cadence because her existence and Rhythm's use of the decade spell are seen as a violation of the adult conspiracy.
So breaking this weird social rule isn't just awkward, it could actually get you killed. Who's the enemy here?
The main antagonist is a being called Ragnarok. He's powerful. His talent is unsettling. He can delete people.
Delete them, like erase them.
Not quite erase. He turns them into illusion. They look real. Maybe they even act real, but they aren't.
That's creepy. Like being a ghost, only you don't know it.
Something like that. It adds this psychological layer to his power. His goal is to rule Xanth. The sources mention he controls villages like Nesta City and this illusion village. People there live under this constant threat of deletion. But, strangely, the villages aren't described as totally miserable places. They have nice people, apparently, despite the repression. It suggests his control is more about obedience and maybe fear, rather than just pure evil.
Weird. And he has odd interests for a tyrant.
Yeah, like a harem of hens, he hangs out on the Rock of Ages, and crucially for the plot, he seems genuinely interested in plays.
Okay, so that connects directly back to Cyrus's mission. The play isn't just some random task. It might be the way to actually reach this guy.
Exactly.
But how does Cyrus, Mr. Literal Cyborg, suddenly become a playwright and, like, a troupe leader?
Well, he kind of leans into it. He gets help, though. A lot of help from his muse, Millette.
His muse?
Yeah, she literally lives in his pocket, offers telepathic advice, though she also gets pretty jealous of Rhythm, which adds another complication.
So the plays become their main thing, their way forward.
Pretty much. They use the plays to travel, to gather their troupe, and the troupe ends up including characters like the Sandwich and Tough from earlier.
Oh, that makes sense.
And yeah, the plays are seen as the potential way to get an audience with Ragnarok.
I bet rehearsals are something else.
Oh, for sure.
Oh.
The Sandwich apparently loves playing the villain roles. Seems fitting.
Yeah.
Tough turns out to be a surprisingly decent actor, but still manages to get heard. Cadence, with her cadence talent, is essential, prompting lines, guiding the audience's applause. And then you've got Mitria the Demoness. She plays the Avatar and decides to add realism with some very intense kisses, which just continues to flummox Cyrus about physical intimacy.
Sounds chaotic, but maybe effective. Do they meet anyone else important on the road? Like Andromeda?
Yes, Andromeda. She's the queen of the dragonflies, but she's trapped, forced to serve Ragnarok. She tries to recruit Cyrus to the rock side.
Okay, and her encounter with Cyrus is complicated by her talent, right? She can possess other bodies.
Exactly. She can temporarily take over someone else's body.
And she does this to talk to Cyrus, but somehow rhythm is mentally present during it.
That's the gist of it. It throws another wrench into Cyrus's already confused understanding of relationships, identity, what's real. Rhythm actually uses other troop members cleverly during this to hide her own connection to Cyrus from Andromeda, and probably from the rock skies.
Wow. Okay, so amongst all this drama, literally drama, club drama, and confusing relationships, are they making any headway on the big mystery? 2 to the 5th.
They keep batting ideas around. Is it about dimensions? Is it pure math? Maybe they need 2 specific people to find some 5th thing. It just seems like a dead end.
So where does the breakthrough finally come from?
It comes from a really unexpected source. Anona the peak ant.
An ant.
Yep. She's telepathic. Cyrus kind of accidentally pockets her and forgets about her because of some lethe elixir, but she's still there, listening. And she has the key insight.
Okay, what is it?
It's deceptively simple. Ragnarok cannot delete the same thing twice.
Whoa, okay, wait. So 2 to the 5th. It's not about 5 things, it's about the second time, the second instance of deletion.
That seems to be the interpretation they land on. It finally clicks. This idea, plus the fact that the princesses can challenge the rock magically, even if they can't overpower him directly, it suggests maybe Cyrus and Rhythm are the 2 who need to create the scenario. The 5th element, which is really the second instance of deletion applied to something connected to them that his power can't handle.
The prophecy isn't about what defeats him, but how. That's clever. Very Xanthian, maybe.
It definitely fits the world's weird logic. So this leads them to the final showdown.
At Ragnarok's castle, made of rock candy.
Made of rock candy. And strangely, Ragnarok seems to be almost waiting for them. He's interested in their play. His telepaths knew they were coming. The source really frames it like this fated climactic encounter.
But while the play is maybe going on, there's this huge invisible magic battle happening too, right? Between Rock and the princesses.
Exactly. An immense struggle. You don't see it directly, but the effects are huge. The candy castle starts collapsing. People's hair stands on end. A light bulb near Cyrus just explodes. You feel the power clash.
And the plan hinges on Anona's insight.
Right.
Trap him after he uses his deletion power once.
That's the core of it.
Yeah.
Cadence and the peak ants prepare this physical shell like an egg. The idea is to trick Ragnarok into using his deletion power and then somehow get him into this shell after that first deletion.
And Cyrus's job is to be the bait. He has to deliberately provoke this super powerful being.
Seems incredibly risky, right? But yeah, his job is to distract Ragnarok, insult him, basically draw his fire and lure him towards the trap. Maybe it plays on the rock's ego, or maybe it's just fulfilling the weird parameters of the prophecy.
It works.
It does. Cyrus successfully gets under his skin. Ragnarok uses his deletion power, that's the first time, and falls right into the prepared shell. Trapped.
Phew. But wait, Cyrus gets deleted too in the process.
He does, and this is absolutely crucial, because Ragnarok deletes him. That's the second time the power is used in this direct confrontation involving Cyrus, or Rhythm.
Right, because Rhythm was temporarily deleted earlier by the princesses, but this is the second time the rock's power is used this way.
Exactly. And being deleted puts Cyrus in this unique limbo state.
Where he can negotiate. From the void, basically.
Pretty much. While deleted, he strikes a deal. He negotiates his own undeletion and Ragnarok's permanent exile inside that eggshell. There's one condition, though. He has to find a rock hen to go into exile with Ragna to keep him company.
Seriously, who on earth volunteers for that?
A hen named Et steps up. But her motive isn't exactly companionship, it's revenge. She fully intends to make Ragnarok's eternal exile completely miserable.
Wow, a perfectly twisted ending for the villain. Classic Xanth.
Totally. But the story isn't quite over for our heroes, Cyrus, Rhythm, and Cadence. They also get deleted again.
Again, but this time by the good magician Humphrey.
Right. He sends them to Counter-Xanth.
Counter-Xanth. A place of reversals. That sounds bad. Like exile, too.
You'd think so, but the source presents it as fundamentally a good thing for them. A positive outcome.
How is being sent to a reversed reality good?
Because in Counter-Xanth, the rules are different. Specifically, Rhythm's chronological age doesn't matter anymore. The whole adult conspiracy, all those restrictive, confusing rules that made the relationship impossible and dangerous in regular Xanth, they just don't apply there.
Ah, I see. So they can actually be together, legitimately, without breaking any cosmic laws.
Exactly. And Cadence goes with them, so she's safe from whatever danger her existence posed back in Xanth proper. They find a place where they fit, where the rules work for them, not against them.
So they didn't change Xanth's rules, they just found a different place with better rules for them. That note you mentioned earlier about the adult conspiracy being battered almost beyond recognition by their actions, it makes sense. Their departure kind of proves its absurdity.
Yeah, it's a really interesting take on finding your place. Sometimes it's not about changing the world, but finding the right world for you.
Wow. Okay, let's just try and wrap our heads around this. Cyrus starts as this literal, naive cyborg seeking self-understanding in this baffling world. He stumbles through weird encounters, physical challenges, social rules he just doesn't get. Becomes an unlikely playwright, leads this bizarre troupe, deciphers this completely cryptic clue, 2 to the 5th, thanks to a telepathic ant,
Right.
plays the key role in trapping a villain who turns people into illusions, gets to lead her himself, negotiates his way back, and finds his happy ending, his place, his love, in a reversed reality. All guided by that one weird phrase.
Yeah, the title itself, 2 to the 5th, ends up having so many layers. It's the 32nd book, 25. It's the prophecy that hinted at the 2 key players, maybe Cyrus and Rhythm, and the 5th element being that crucial second instance of the villain's power. It ties the math, the characters, the power, the solution all together in this weird knot.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? About the strange rules or instructions we bump up against in our own lives. Things that seem nonsensical, like Xanth's adult conspiracy. Do they hold hidden meanings? Do they shape our paths more than we realize?
And how do we deal with identity, with relationships, when the norms around us just feel wrong or too restrictive for who we are or who we care about?
Could our apparent weaknesses, like Cyrus being so literal or even something drastic like being deleted, actually turn out to be the key to overcoming huge obstacles?
And maybe the biggest question it leaves you with, does finding where you truly belong, where you can genuinely be yourself, sometimes mean you have to step outside the reality you know? Maybe into a kind of counter world
Yeah.
where the rules that held you back just don't exist anymore.
Definitely a lot to chew on from the land of puns and existential cyborg crises. This has been a really fascinating deep dive into 2 to the 5th.
It really has.
Thanks so much for bringing us the source material that let us explore all this weirdness. Keep asking those questions, everyone, and keep exploring.